He's heating up!
Hey guys, it's Vash, and welcome to a Dead Rising 4 discussion video. I wanted to make this before the game came out. We have one more weekend before Dead Rising is dropped into the world. It's the calm before the storm. It's, all the things that we can wonder about, all the things that we know, all the things that we think will all come to the truth when we play the game that comes out next week. What I wanted to do is I wanted to make a little bit of a video talking about the things that we know about Dead Rising, give my opinion about it, and then have a discussion about it in the comment section about what you guys think about the stuff that we know. So, the first thing I want to talk about is Frank West. Now, Frank West is the protagonist of Dead Rising 4. He was the protagonist in Dead Rising 1, and he was also the protagonist in Dead Rising Off the Record, in which he also made he was a playable character in Dead Rising Case West, which was a DLC for Dead Rising 2. So we all know Frank West. Frank West is Frank West. But in Dead Rising 4, Frank isn't really Frank. Now, what we know about Frank is 54 years old now.
Frank's mellowed with age now. He's 16 years older. He's 54. He's still Frank.
Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know many guys that look like that at the age of 54. I mean, you never know. Maybe he took really good care of himself, but it looks kind of weird. I mean, Frank looked more in his 50s in Case West and Off the Record, which I believe Off the Record isn't canon. It's just a side story that they made for fun. But he looks hella young. He looks really, really, really young. And I guess we have to ask ourselves, does that bother me? No, not really. It just looks kind of weird, that he's supposed to be 54 years old. And I guess, I don't know. It's not that big of a deal. I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out, that he's 54 years old. A lot of people didn't know. The voice acting. This is a very important subject for a lot of people. If you haven't noticed, or you didn't know, Frank West is not being voiced by TJ anymore, which is the original voice actor that has been voicing Frank since Dead Rising 1. Now, in my opinion, the new voice actor, I really don't care. Now, you're probably like, oh, well, you're not a Dead Rising fan. Hear me out. We're in 2016 right now. We are used to our favorite video game characters' voices being replaced. I mean, they replaced Michael Ironside as Sam Fisher. They replaced David Hayter as Snake, even though it technically was Big Boss. But hey, he voiced Big Boss in that one game I don't like, Peace Walker. I mean, we're kind of used to that kind of thing at this point. At least I am. So having a different voice actor isn't, I guess, that big of a deal to me. I mean, of course I'm a little disappointed because I love TJ's voice as Frank. He fits Frank. That's Frank to me. TJ is Frank to me. And my problem with it, though, is that the guy's voice acting just, in my opinion, isn't very good. But I've only ever seen, I guess, a few cutscenes. When I played the game at E3 last year, there was no sound, so I couldn't hear him. But IGN released a first 22 minutes of Dead Rising, and you can really hear Frank's voice acting in that game, and it wasn't very good. But I think it was a combination of the sound design in that demo being very bad, and Frank's voice being not very bad, but not being very good. For example, if you watch the gameplay, I'll probably just link it in the description, and I'll probably just put it in the video, but you can hear that every other sound besides Frank's voice is really, really, really quiet. So you can really hear his voice. Now, most times when you're acting or voice acting, there's sounds going on. There's, explosions or bombs or crying or other people talking. There's other things that kind of mask if you're not doing that good of a job. And, you can easily hear that this sounds really, really bad.
Buck up, Frank! All right, look, you know what? You've had your fun. Can I go now?
But right here, they asked him, an interviewer asked Joel Nichols, said Joel. Joe Nichols, which is the I think he's the director. I believe so. The head guy. He's pretty much the guy that they talk to the most about Dead Rising. I can't remember his title. Jeez, it was right on the tip of my tongue, and it literally fell out of my mouth right when I was like, God damn. So when they asked him about the voice of Frank, this is what he had to say.
One of the complaints people have online is the voice actor.
Yep.
The voice changed. Why?
So, you know what? We did a lot of research, and we wanted to make Frank a little bit more mature. Because, like I said, Frank's in his 50s now. And so we did a lot of casting. And I do want to say that TJ was great. I mean, TJ, he did a great job for Frank, and we loved the work that he did for us. But talking to a lot of the fans, they wanted to see where Frank was going to go and how was he going to mature and how was his story going to change. And so we went with someone new, and everyone that plays the game loves what Frank has become. They love his dialogue. The chemistry between Frank and all the new people and survivors is amazing, because Frank's had a pretty lousy life, and the things that he says in this game are amazing.
Really? I'm sorry, but who wanted this? I dislike how whenever they talk to Joe about Dead Rising, he always strictly says the fans this, the fans that. I don't know if you guys noticed, but a lot of people don't want Frank's voice to change. So that's what I just don't understand, how he's like, oh, this is what the fans want to know, what's coming next. The fans want a new, more mature Frank. It's like, what? Like, I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird. It's like, I bet you would probably happen, because game companies do this. I actually used to be a part of it. But there are focus groups that they gather a bunch of gamers, quote unquote, stick them in a room, you watch a few trailers, you play a demo, and they ask you your opinions on it. And they ask you to be as nitpicky and as critical as you can. And like, people pick on the stupidest stuff. I remember I was in a focus group for Mercenaries 2, and like, people were complaining that like the clothes on some of the characters shook around too much. Like, oh, it's kind of disorienting that when you're jogging, all of his like pouches and clips on his body are flinging all over the place and shaking, and it bothers me. Like, I don't even know if they actually ended up putting that in the game. I don't think I ever even played Mercenaries 2, but I honestly didn't like it when I played it. But the point is like, I have a feeling that maybe they talked to a bunch of people that claim they're Dead Rising fans, because I know that when I did focus groups, they only take fans of that stuff, and you tell the people whatever they want to hear, because they'll pay you. And the reason why I played Mercenaries 2 is because I told them I was a huge fan of Mercenaries 1 because I wanted to get paid. So that's just me. I don't know if other people are, but like, when you do focus groups and stuff, and you rely on that for because at the time I don't think I had a job. That's why I was doing a lot of focus groups, because I did a lot of focus groups for Vivendi Universal. I did a lot for EA. I did a lot, and most of it was where I would just pretend like I really liked the game that they were having this testing, so I could get paid. So maybe those are the people they were talking to. I'm just guessing, but yeah, maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys like Frank's new voice? I just really don't like how Frank doesn't really act like Frank. All the cutscenes and gameplay I've seen, he doesn't really remind me of Frank at all. He reminds me of a guy trying to be like Frank. Like, I would not be surprised at all if there's a twist at the end of this game's story where you find out that you're not even Frank, you're like a clone or something. Like, I would not be surprised at all, and I'd be like, oh, no, makes sense. Totally makes sense. Like, I fully understand it. But what do you guys think? Do you guys like the new voice actor? Does it matter to you? Do you care? Let me know. Next thing I want to talk about is the controls. The controls are very different from previous Dead Rising games. Now, in Dead Rising 1 and 2 and off the record, your inventory was in a section in the top right corner, or top left, I can't remember, whatever. It's at the top of the screen, and you would use the bumpers to cycle through weapons and health. So now they changed the controls where you carry always 3 weapons on you at all time. You always have one melee weapon, which is your X button. You always have a throwable weapon, which is like a Molotov, a grenade, a brick, and you always have a firearm, some sort of long-range weapon. So like the the bow that shoots the dynamite or a gun, etc. That weapon is, it's like each weapon is to a certain button. I think when I played the game, if you wanted to throw, I think like left bumper was thrown weapons, right trigger was your gun, X was your melee weapon, and then you had a button dedicated to healing. You held all of your healing items in one section. So when I played the game, I personally had a huge problem with this control scheme because I didn't know how to change weapons for each category, which I'm sure they'll probably show us. I mean, they didn't really tell us much when we played the demo at E3, but that was a huge issue I had with the controls, is that I would have a sledgehammer and then I'd pick up a combo weapon. No, I'd have a combo weapon and then I'd pick up like a sledgehammer and I wouldn't know how to switch back to my combo weapon. I'd have to drop my sledgehammer to pull my combo weapon back out. So I'm positive that they probably have fixed that. That was my only issue. In Dead Rising 3, the controls were a little bit different. Your items were in more of a weapon wheel style, kind of like GTA 5, where you'd hold a button to pull out a weapon wheel and you would pick a weapon. You can only hold 4 weapons at a time of any type, and then you would increase your inventory space, like doing the corners, so altogether I think you end up holding 8 items. But I'm a little disappointed with the fact that I can't throw melee weapons now. If a weapon is not classified as a throwable weapon, you cannot throw it. So all those times where you have like a weapon that you're using and it's about to break and you just throw it into a crowd of zombies, can't do that anymore. That's the one thing that I'm super disappointed with, because one of my favorite things were to pick up random items and then just hit a zombie right in the face with it, like throw it at him and take him out. I just thought that was kind of cool. That was one of my favorite things about it. The health items are now just straight up just instant health packs. I have not seen anywhere that it's been confirmed that juices or cooking will make a return. There's the health food is just health packs now. I mean, before you would create different juices to get different abilities and power-ups, which was kind of cool. Like Quick Step was one of my all-time favorites. I know in Dead Rising 3 you had to do a certain mission or find a special area to get a juice book that would allow you to mix different foods to create juices. But I mean, it was still there, even though Dead Rising 3 wasn't. I mean, I really enjoyed it, but it didn't really feel like a Dead Rising game. It was still a lot of fun. But so yeah, we don't know if there's going to be mixing of juices or any kind of cooking in the game. We don't know. I haven't been able to find any information on it, so we do know about that. Next thing I wanted to talk about are the psychopaths. Now, the psychopaths in Dead Rising are pretty much your boss characters. Now, every psychopath had a bit of a cutscene. Had a cutscene or a little bit of dialogue before you fought them, which gave them their zany, crazy, psychopathic personality. And with that personality is where you would see how unique each character is.
Stop the line, Gramps! If the line stops, then the zombies come back. And that won't be any fun at all!
This is my stuff! You can't tell me, can you, fella? Oh yeah, I know why. It's because you're Viet Cong. I'm right, aren't I? You are nothing but a filthy communist!
But in this game, we will not have psychopaths. We will have maniacs. They are the new psychopaths. There's a problem with it, though. From what I've read and heard by watching, reading interviews, watching stuff like that, is that these maniacs are optional characters that are kind of just really strong goons, which is kind of disappointing. I mean, I have like an audio clip here, or a video clip, I don't know, a clip here of them talking about it, so go ahead and listen to that real quick.
So the psychos are different this time around. You don't call them psychos anymore, right?
Yeah, you know what? The last game, and working with our partners at Microsoft, making sure that that we were listening to what people were saying. You always want to make sure that the characters feel like they belong in the world, and because we spent so much more time working on the story in this game, we wanted all of these psychos, characters, what do you want to call them, to feel like they lived in the world and not be placed in there because it's a video game.
I guess I kind of agree with him when he said that that in previous Dead Risings, some of the psychopaths felt like they were just placed there just because, which I guess I can fully agree with at least Dead Rising 3. I know that a lot of the people in Dead Rising 3 just were really weird. Like that guy that had like the golden dick with the 2 balls, flamethrower, and ice thing, like what the hell? You know, like, I mean, I guess there were a couple here and there, but there were some like more serious bosses, and then there were some that were just a complete joke, that were just fun to fight. Especially in Dead Rising 3, I felt that almost every boss was kind of a joke, except for like a couple of like, you know, army dudes you would fight here and there. But I mean, I guess I can understand where they're coming from, but I mean, what do we fight now? I know maniacs are optional, as they said. You have to find clues that lead you to the maniac to fight. I guess that in the story we're gonna have boss fights. I mean, there'd be no point having a game without boss fights. I mean, almost every single game has some sort of boss fight, some sort of stronger, bigger enemy you have to overcome. But what do we fight now? Since Dead Rising 1, our boss fights were psychopaths. So if they're not there, then I guess we have to play the game to find out what we actually fight besides these optional bosses that are in there. The psychopaths were some of my favorite aspects of the game, though, and I mean, I guess we just gotta see. What do you guys think? Let me know. Do you guys give a shit about the psychopaths? Are you sad that they're gone? Are you like, finally, I hate those dudes? Like, what do you guys think about it, man? As you can, I don't know. I just said how I feel. It's just, I guess we'll have to wait and see what they have us fight, because you never know. They haven't really told us much about the story. Maybe there's some pretty awesome boss fights waiting for us, and then we won't even miss the psychopaths because these boss fights will be better. Or maybe these boss fights will be super crappy, and then it'll make us really miss psychopaths. Like, we don't know until we actually play the game. We just gotta see where it goes. We'll have to see where it goes. Well, that brings us into our next topic, which is the time limit and zombies. Now, it has been confirmed that there is no time limit in Dead Rising 4. The time limit. Now, I fully understand why a lot of people didn't like the time limit in Dead Rising. I personally didn't really care. I know it was extremely stressful the first time you'd play the game, but the whole time limit thing, it's like once you learn how to play the game, the time limit really isn't nothing. I mean, we did a playthrough of Dead Rising 1. You guys can probably count that there was at least 5, 6, 7. There were many times that I was just kind of wasting time because I had too much time because I got everything done, but I was also max level. So I do know that when I first played Dead Rising 2, time was a problem with me because I just had no idea how to get around Fortune City, or whatever it was called. The place you're in, the casino. I don't know. I think it's called Fortune City, right? I had a really hard time navigating Fortune City because it was confusing to me, so I would run out of time a lot by going the wrong way or being like, oh, this way might be faster when another way was faster. So to combat that, in Dead Rising 3, they added so much time that time didn't matter. So in this game, they're just taking it away, which I have no problem. I mean, I know a lot of people that didn't play Dead Rising solely because they didn't like being timed. Well, now those people, there you go. Now you have a game with no time. Now you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it one bit. Even though Dead Rising 3, the time limit wasn't that big of a deal, now there's no time limit at all. Which that leads us into our second section of this topic about the zombies. Now, they confirmed that the zombies do not get more aggressive at night. If you've played Dead Rising before, then you know that once that sun goes down, those zombies can get really nasty, very, very violent, and get pretty annoying if you're trying to get places. Now, I haven't really read anywhere or heard anything about them confirming that a day and night cycle won't be happening. From the things that I've seen and heard, it sounds like the day will move on as you play the story. So for example, if you're doing missions that take place at night, then as long as you're doing side missions in between or before those missions, it's going to be nighttime. You get what I'm saying? So it's like the time will change as you continue with the story, and when you free roam in between those story missions, whatever time it is at that time will be the time. Which, like we said, they confirm themselves that the zombies will not get faster. They say the zombies will just always be a force that's on you 24 hours a day, day and night. I'm hoping that that means that we'll get different zombie types, maybe, because I remember watching one of the trailers, and there's a section where Frank is gunning down a bunch of running zombies that are running at a full speed sprint. So I'm hoping that there may be different classes of zombies, because honestly, as much as I love Dead Rising, you get kind of bored just running into a crowd and killing zombies, you know? There's got to be more to it than just killing zombies. So I guess that's when you try to figure out different stupid ways to kill zombies. So in my opinion, I'm just hoping that they bring different types of zombies, since there's no day or night cycle. I'm guessing there isn't. From what I've seen, it looks like that there isn't going to be a day or night cycle. There's no time. I guess that's not really a big deal to me. What do you guys think? I know a lot of people really dislike the time limit. I'm very indifferent on it. It doesn't matter if it's in it or not. I will still enjoy the game for what it is. But now, with no time limit, you actually have the ability to take your time and not having to, rush all the time and be on point and all that. In which then zombies, yeah, we talked about the different types and hoping that they have different types. Survivors. Here's another topic. Survivors, guys. They have confirmed that survivors are going to be like in Dead Rising 3, where you save them and they kind of just go somewhere. But this time, when you save them, they will drop loot for you. Whereas in the previous Dead Rising 3, when you helped a survivor, they would just give you experience. They would give you PP to level up. So apparently now, you'll get PP and you'll get a loot item. Some sort of loot or some sort of item from that character. In Dead Rising 1, 2, and Off the Record, it was a very important aspect of the game to escort people back to base. That was a very large section. I mean, that's pretty much the whole Dead Rising game. They changed that in Dead Rising 3, where the only characters you would escort were either for specific missions, or they were characters that would then become like pretty much your minions. By the end of Dead Rising, you have like 15 or 20 people that you can pick from to bring with you on missions, which I personally never use. Mostly because I didn't want them to die, because I'm very bad at the game. So I would not want these characters that I just saved to go out there with me and get killed. I'd rather just go out on my own and get myself killed. So survivors are different. No escorting, which I guess is good, because a lot of people didn't really like that, especially in Dead Rising 1 with how stupid the AI was. But it was a very, very big improvement in Dead Rising 2. They were much better at escorting in Dead Rising 2. Much better. It wasn't even that big of a deal anymore with how much they improved it in Dead Rising 2, which I'm glad for. But I mean, that's that. I mean, Dead Rising 3 didn't really have escorting survivors much. So it makes sense that 4 doesn't really have it either, but now it's been confirmed that there is no escorting and they just give you loot. The save system is another thing we want to talk about. It has been confirmed that Dead Rising 4 will go on a autosave and checkpoint system, which in previous games you would have to save in a bathroom, and there weren't really any checkpoints except for maybe like a checkpoint at the beginning of a cutscene. I know 3 had checkpoints, but I also know that in 3 it had autosave. You could also save at any point in the game in the pause menu, and you could also save at porta potties. I mean, it's 2016. Auto-saving and checkpoints is kind of a thing of modern game development, so that's just how it is. That's I know a lot of people might not like that, but I mean, it doesn't bother me much. The only issue I have with like auto-saving is when you go too far in the game and you mess up and you have to go back, and then you auto-save and you're screwed, or maybe there's something you missed and you're like, oh, I can reload my old save and then go back and get it, but you can't because it auto-saves. So that's the only time I ever have an issue with auto-saving. Besides that, it's really not that big of a deal to me. I wonder what you guys think about the save system with it, checkpoints and auto-saving. I'm sure a lot of people don't mind. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. For Dead Rising 4, here's our next topic. They have confirmed that there will be no co-op for campaign. Now, co-op has been a staple of Dead Rising since Dead Rising 2. I don't think Off the Record had co-op. Did it? I don't think so. Oh, no, yes, it did. It did. Off the Record did have co-op. So Dead Rising has had co-op since Dead Rising 2. In my opinion, I think co-op was done best in Dead Rising 3, mostly because in Dead Rising 3 you were actually a brand new character named Dick that had his own voice lines and his own personality, and he was usually in the background of cutscenes and stuff. So I thought it was kind of cool that they had this second character judging that, in Dead Rising 2 you would just be 2 Chucks, and then in Off the Record I think you're just 2 Franks, right? So it's just kind of like the co-op to me in Dead Rising 2 kind of felt just stuck in there, just because, like, kind of tacked on. Because, like, come on, dude, you're just playing 2 as the same character? Like, I mean, I guess there's only one character you can play as, but still, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, that just felt really, like, lazy to me. But it has been confirmed that there is no co-op, for the campaign at least, but there will be a certain mode or missions that you can do co-op. So there still is co-op, but no co-op for the single player. And the reason why that there is no co-op, they claim, is because they put so much time and effort and work into the story that it just doesn't work out in co-op, which, I don't know, I know a lot of people, personally, that feel that co-op made Dead Rising a much bearable and a lot more fun. In my opinion, I don't really mind if there's co-op or not. I prefer to play by myself because I honestly and personally just don't like playing with other people with these kind of games. Especially since they're talking about, like, oh, we put a lot of time and effort into the story. In my opinion, when I play co-op, I don't really pay attention to the story because I'm talking to the person I'm playing with and not really paying attention. Also, in Dead Rising, when you play the co-op, it's unbelievably easy. And I like a little bit of a challenge, but like Dead Rising 3, I co-op that on stream with one of my good friends, and we just blazed through that game like it was. There was no time where there was no time where I ever felt like, oh my god, I actually need to try so I don't die. There was never a time that actually happened. We just breezed through it. We even cheated the final boss, because the final boss is like created to fight one guy and he couldn't like make up his mind, so he just kind of stood there and let us beat on him. So what do you guys feel about co-op? I know a lot of, like I said before, I know a lot of people that's like a make or break thing. Like, there's no co-op, I'm not gonna buy it. There's a lot of people that are like that. I personally don't mind that there's no co-op, but I know a lot of people don't. But what do you guys think that there's no co-op? Is that a deal breaker or no? Now, to close this video out, honestly, with all this information we know about Dead Rising 4, it doesn't sound very appealing to a Dead Rising fan that really loves the Dead Rising series. It kind of feels like Diet Dr. Dead Rising, with a lot of things being changed, a lot of things being simplified, a lot of things just being taken out. But personally, it overall still looks kind of fun, and we can't really fully judge it until we actually play it. So that's why when the game does come out next week, we will be playing it, and we will be finding out if it's as bad as it looks, or if it ends up being really good. For all we know, they've been really hush-hush and quiet on most of the story, so maybe all the stuff that they showed us was to make us go in there with low expectations to be blown away by this story, because they really do brag about how they put a lot of time and effort into this game's story. And personally, I really enjoyed Dead Rising 3's story. I thought it was really good. I love it when a game does like awesome callbacks to previous games of the series, especially since there's a lot of callbacks to Dead Rising 1 with like the children, about Carlito and Isabella, and then like Chuck, you know. There was a lot of things in Dead Rising 3 that I really liked. Even though it didn't really feel like a Dead Rising game, I enjoyed it for what it was. I have a feeling that Dead Rising 4 is going to be the same way. It's like, if you go in there with high expectations, you probably will, I don't know, you either will just be satisfied, like, oh, okay, or you might be disappointed. But I mean, I guess we'll go in with an open mind and see how it goes. It might not be as bad as it looks. I'm not saying that it is going to be bad, but I mean, from the information that we know, it's much different from previous Dead Rising games. You know how people are, they don't like change, and they like things to just be the same, which is kind of funny, because then people complain about stuff being the same. You know, people just can't make up their minds. But I'm hoping that Dead Rising 4 is good. We're gonna find out together. It's gonna be a fun experience, and I hope we can all enjoy it together. So all the topics we talked about, I will probably type out in the description so that you can, I guess, read it. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about Dead Rising 4. I mean, are you down? Are you super excited? Are you gonna pass on it? Are you not gonna give it a chance? Let me know. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. I guess thank you for listening. Yeah, and watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you guys, and I hope you all have a wonderful morning, a great day, a beautiful afternoon, and an awesome night. If it is your birthday, happy birthday to you. If it is your birthday, gal, gorgeous gal, happy birthday to you too. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time.